Bonjour YouTube. I'm here with Dr. Daz from the Active Body Clinic today. So we're going to go over some mobility work because I think I'm 22 weeks until the Olympia. And my focus for this off-season all the way into the Olympia is lower body mass and so I need to get my training up to scratch. Daz and I have been working together all through my classic prep. That's right. And we did a lot of positive work together. So one of my main focuses now is I can't train my lower body as efficiently as I like because my mobility is shit. So what we're here to do today is to get my lower body as efficient as possible because I'm training legs this afternoon. So we want my ankles, my hips, my knees, pretty much everything to be functioning as well as possible because you can't recruit maximum muscle if your joints are all bound up and tight. So that's what we're here to do today. So hopefully in 20 weeks we'll be recording everything from now all the way up until the Olympia as we did with the Arnold. And I can guarantee with Dr. Daz's help we can see a massive improvement in my lower body. So let's bring on the pain.
Bring it on. Big Luke here today. I haven't even touched him and he's screaming already. Ah! So, lower limb. Psoas, glutes, quads, hamstring. That's where we move from. So we're going to work on his psoas, glutes and hamstring, knee mobility, ankle mobility, flexion and dorsiflexion. So we're going to be working with him all the way to his Olympia prep. So we're going to do a quick test. Is the quad firing or not? So don't let me push down. And you can see, individually. Weak. Quad activation. Certain key areas, Douglas Hill principles. And you can see Luke is quite happy for me to do this. So we're just in the QL area. So what happens is we go into protection mode. And when we're in protection mode, we can't function properly. The muscles are not firing, neurological signals are not as fully as effective. And we have to get them out of that. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Obviously with Luke's schedule, there's a lot of sitting down, planes, traveling around, so can't always be optimal. Inhale and exhale. So before you can do any sort of massage, if a muscle is in a cheat pattern, you can massage it all day long. It's still going to be in a cheat pattern. So we have to activate the muscle or the problem area before we can do any treatment. Nice deep breath in again and out. Same thing. Take a deep breath in. Don't let me push down. And as you can see, that is not moving anywhere.
It's so weird because you haven't touched the quad yet, you just feeling around in here. Now my leg works again. It doesn't make any sense.
So sometimes one side could be more shut down than the other, causing when you have muscular imbalances. So we never leave the patient obviously unbalanced. That he is enjoying it. So although I didn't test this side, I know it's good. We've already done some testing. We know that it's not firing. So the breath is an indicator, tells me, gives me feedback as to where we are. Is he actually letting go and relaxing those areas? Or is there still tension along those neurological pathways? And don't let me push down, breathe in and breathe out. And you can see that is not going anywhere. So then we can work on the hip joint. Just getting mobilization through there. So there's always a lot of anterior tilt in people these days, which can affect the position of the hips, obviously, and the glenohumeral joint and the femur. So you've got to make sure that everything is aligned. So it's not about causing pain or going deep. It's just doing enough to release the muscle. Some people can oh yeah, let's go in, smash it. But it is just, you've got to release the muscle. And always working with the client, although we're having a bit of a laugh there.
It's true, it's not comfortable, but it's never painful. It's like you do surgery with a scalpel, not a hacksaw.
Yes. Good.
So one of the reasons why my mobility work on my lower body is so important over the last probably year and a half, I've actually had a mild tear in my right femur on my right quad twice. And a lot of that is due to the cheat patterns that I was talking about. So all of my treatment over the last few years has all been upper body, and I've neglected my lower body because as far as I was concerned, I didn't have any issues. Until I came to see Daz, and as he's pointed out in the cheat tests, like, I may be strong, but there's a lot of weaknesses and imbalances. And I think we've done a few treatments on my lower body now, and already my leg training has been so much better. There's been no discomfort in my hips or my knees. The pump and the execution has been just phenomenal. I started barbell squatting again with no knee pain, and I'm getting more activation of my quads, not just my glutes. So, you know, you always see early 2000s Jay Cutler getting his treatment every couple of days. Makes such a big difference. I mean, it made the biggest difference in my upper body, so because that was where a lot of my troubled areas were. We fixed a lot of those, so now it's time to give my lower body the same attention. Because, you know, if you're not able to train and, you know, recruit muscle as effectively as you should be, then you're never going to grow muscle as effectively as you should do. So it's all very well and good me lifting all these like insanely heavy weights, but if I'm like cheating it, I'm not actually using the muscle I want, because things are tied up and there's bound up tissue. It's never going to give you the results that I want in terms of growth. So been pretty much pain-free in terms of knees and hips for a couple of months now, and it's already made a massive difference. In fact, one of the funny things was that Chris and I noticed between the Arnold and even the Indy shows how much my legs filled out. And I saw Daz, in between every show, I saw Daz with pretty much his only lower body. And the separation was better, the training was better, the fullness was better. So there's a whole list of things that are beneficial when it comes to this kind of treatment. So don't neglect your treatment.
So we have used, there's a number of modalities one can use when treating. There's always massage, pushing up the lactic acid, increasing blood flow, separation of the muscles. You can use Graston, we've used acupuncture, and one of the favorites is the electromuscular stimulation, the EMS machines, so which is just phenomenal. So today we're just going to be getting some blood through his legs before his training later on. Again, you know, people dig their elbows in, and there is a time and place for that. But then there's also, if you're causing too much pain, too much pressure, you're actually creating scar tissue. And the job is to actually remove some of that scar tissue. So there's a fine balance of how deep you go. Not going too deep. Just, you can see the redness already happening. Blood flow to the area. And working in the contours of the muscle. And you can feel a grainy consistency underneath.
The treatment we're doing today is to aid today's training, correct?
Yeah, so
if we were to do it away from leg training, I'm sure the treatment would be
it'll be slightly different, yeah. So there's many types of treatment. So today is just activating, getting some blood into the muscle, releasing the fascia so it's more functional. He's able to do more deeper squats. So we're not treating an injury as such today. So it's just basically like a pre and post. We've just had the marathon, so you have your pre and post treatment. So this is, like you could say, is a pre-training treatment. So nothing too crazy. So coming into the tibialis. So the tibia can be a massive cheat pattern. So sometimes when we're doing leg extension, you find people flexing their feet. So now, the tibia is doing the job, not the quad. When doing leg extension, just relax the foot and let the quad activate. So that's why runners sometimes get shin splints. Shin's going to get tight on any incline. Yep. They can be a massive cheat pattern. So we always come down to the ankles, and the feet are the most important thing, because this is the first point that touches the ground. And if you imagine a building is 5 degrees out in its foundation, what the top of the building is going to be like, you know, traveling up into the hips.
Yeah, pizza. Obviously Ben Chow, my training partner, if you see him squat, one of the reasons he's so good at squatting, not just because he's ridiculously strong, his ankle flexibility is ridiculous. He's like he can, he can almost get his toes to touch his shin. That's how good his ankle flexibility is.
Which is get into the calcaneus and working the talus. So when people squat sometimes and their ankle flexibility is not on par, they squat, and then the ankle is stuck, then they make the adjustment in the upper body. So it's not the back, it's not this, it's not the knees. You've got to look down to the ankle.
Yeah, which is a lot of the reason why a lot of people use elevated heels when they squat, because they're not understanding the issues with their ankle. And I'm guilty of that.
So coming into the glutes, the vital glutes, as they say, where the power comes from. Yes.
Has he got a knife?
No, it's just my little thumbs.
Yeah, I'm leaving no stone unturned for this Olympia prep. Multiple treatments a week. I even bought myself a CPAP machine to improve my sleep quality.
Fantastic.
There's all these little things that you can do outside of the gym to aid recovery.
And a bit of ART, so gently push forwards. And 3, 2, 1, and release. Gently push forwards. 3, 2, 1, and release. Internal, external rotation. You can get really bound down. And out. That's great. Form of distraction technique with cupping. Vacuum dry cupping, so it's not the wet cupping as you've seen. So this causes distraction of the skin, the fascial layers, the epidermis, and just creating blood flow. And you can feel where those fascial planes are tight and the muscle is bound down. Carefully going through all across. Again, you can see the redness, blood flow to the area. And then you can feel and hear where the problems are. So I'm going to stretch Luke's calves. So if you push down on your toes, push down, push down, push down, and release. And release. Push away and release. Good.
Doing all these crazy lifts and for reps, and I was like, why? When my knees hurt and the muscle isn't, I had joint pains and there wasn't much in the way of growth in the muscle, and it wasn't responding in certain ways in my body had been, and it just kind of, I thought there must be some kind of problem somewhere. There must be some, as I was saying, cheat patterns, and it wasn't until I started getting regular treatment that I realised how much my lower body wasn't functioning as it should. I mean, you saw it at the beginning. My dad pushed down on my leg and it just collapsed. But yeah, I can squat 7 plates, but it wasn't my quads squatting 7 plates, it was probably everything else.
Yeah.
And when it comes, and if I was a powerlifter, doesn't matter. I'm a bodybuilder, so I'm trying to build a maximum amount of muscle. And when I choose a movement, I want to get the return on that movement. I want that movement to do what it's supposed to. But if my body isn't doing what it's supposed to, I can do any movement I want and it's not going to make a difference.
Distraction of the talus on the calcaneus, so we're just about 50%, 45%, and just mobilizing backwards and forwards. Okay, it helps glide the talus back to allow you to get deeper into your squats. All you got to do is move forwards and backwards. Forwards and backwards. There we go. You can feel that mobilizing, yeah?
Yeah, I can. So this is my main issue. When it comes to squatting, like my lower back rounds, I have that little weird butt wink. And a lot of that is just because my flexibility, my ankle is so bad. That side's even worse.
Yeah, so one side can be worse than the other, so make a mental note of it. Okay?
Yeah.
Good. So you want to...
See, my heel is still trying to come off the floor.
Yeah. So come forward and go back a little bit more, get back, and then come forward. Just increasing the ROM. There. Rolling the tibia out, yeah? So those shins is the tibialis anterior. Just sit down on it, sit down, there. Can get a bit ugly and rotating out. And you can also flex the foot up and down. And you can also just go side to side, just getting all the angles. When you've got a lovely friend like me, got a lovely super friend, you can help them move an inch and side to side. And side to side. Support yourself, foot at 90, so you can actually distract the hip. So you're coming forwards and backwards. Forwards and backwards. Be careful how you position that.
Yeah, you don't want to track a bollock.
Okay, so move that a little bit more forward so you get enough movement. Can you feel that distraction?
Yeah. Feeling my rec fem as well.
Yeah. So make sure the hips are squared on, because it's going to want to rotate you to your left. So you pull, there you go, the left forward. So the hips are square and mobilize and back. And there. Excellent.
Hardcore bodybuilding.
Good. Again, so just rotate there, square on. Yeah. Because it is going to pull you back. Key thing to point out is the breathing. Any mobility stretching work, don't hold your breath. You've got to breathe through the movement, which will help you relax the muscle. If you hold your breath, you're creating tension. So inhale, exhale. Inhale and exhale. Breathing, number one thing. So I'll just finish with Luke. You can catch me at Muscleworks Orpington or Crayford Race and Fitness, Active Body Clinic. Daz Saund, D-A-Z-S-A-U-N-D, at activebodyclinic.co.uk.
It'll be here on the screen, right, Rebecca?
Right there.
So these are a lot of the tools. I understand that a lot of you might not be able to have the treatment in the budget. This, I mean, you can pretty much go over any muscle, anytime you have any tightness. It's the same as a foam roller. For me, being like 300 pounds, me rolling my quads on a foam roller creates a lot of damage. It's way too extreme, so this is quite a nice alternative. Bottom of your feet, you can do your shoulders, you can get your girlfriend or your boyfriend to do any other part of your body with this. I also have the classic lacrosse ball. Basically, what I'll do is I'll put this on a wall and I'll lean against it. So if I have any sort of adhesions in my traps, my rhomboids, the back of my shoulder, it's a really good way of getting some release. And the same with the bands. We did some sort of mobility work with Daz, with the band. And this one I do a lot of over and backs with for my shoulder mobility before I train chest, just to get my rotator cuffs and everything nice and loose and warm. The reason I got these tools is because a lot of my mobility work comes from a book called Becoming a Supple Leopard, I believe it's called. You pretty much buy it on Amazon or any decent bookstore. It's a big, thick, massive book that covers mobility and self-myofascial release that you can do yourself. And these are pretty much the only tools it recommends. So if you guys don't want to spend the money on a good therapist, which I completely understand, definitely buy that book, get yourself some self-mobility tools, and you can do a lot of it yourself at home, because if you're a piece of granite and you can't move properly, don't expect to build maximum amount of muscle. So this kind of stuff, you know, just a simple lacrosse ball, a band, and some kind of roller. You can I got this on Amazon. It pretty much covers about 85–90% of what you're going to need. So get yourself that book and get yourself some tools.